Have you ever wondered what Diddy thinks about each day when he wakes up in prison? Can you imagine waking up to find that the very foundation you've built your belief system on crumbles beneath you? Well, one time, he was the king of hip-hop, one of the early pioneers who took his music and culture and turned it into hundreds of millions of dollars, establishing himself as a true power broker in the world of entertainment. Sean Puffy P. Diddy Combs has gone by many names and nicknames, but now he has a new title, Federal Indictee. This is the story of Sean Combs, a man who soared to unimaginable heights, only to watch it all come crashing down piece by piece. And like any captivating tale, things are about to get a lot more complicated. Humble Harlem beginnings. Combs, born in 1969, has spent over 50 years pursuing power, success, and recognition with relentless determination, a drive that was instilled in him from a young age. He often reflects on his parents, whom he describes as the fly guy and fly girl of their Harlem neighborhood, both of whom were ambitious in their own right. His father worked for the Board of Education and drove a taxi until his tragic murder in 1972. After that, Combs's mother, Janice, a former model, took on 4 jobs to support her and her daughter, Keisha. While she stressed the importance of education, she also emphasized the need to assert oneself, a lesson she made clear to Combs when he was just 9 years old. After another child stole his money, she wouldn't let him back into the house. "My mother wouldn't let me in," Combs recalled during a 2006 interview with Oprah. She said, "Go back out there and get that money. And if anyone ever puts their hands on you, make sure they never do it again." She understood the reality. If people sense weakness, they'll take advantage of you. You have to defend yourself. Janice's lesson may have resonated with Combs's natural tendencies. His nickname, Puffy, actually came from his childhood tantrums. "Whenever I got mad as a kid, I used to always huff and puff," Combs shared with Jet magazine in 1998. "I had a temper. That's why my friends started calling me Puffy." While Combs clearly took his mother's advice to heart, he also inherited her strong work ethic. He landed his first job at just 12, delivering newspapers, and later worked at a gas station and a Mexican restaurant, even selling lemonade on the side, as he told Forbes. One summer, he spent time with an Amish family in Pennsylvania through the Fresh Air Fund, which helps inner-city kids. Not long after that, Janice moved the family from the bustling streets of uptown Manhattan to Mount Vernon, a suburb in Westchester County. She enrolled Combs, who was raised Catholic and served as an altar boy at the prestigious Mount St. Michael Academy in the Bronx. There, he wore a uniform each day, played football, and ever the dreamer, thought to himself, "I just knew I was going to be an NFL pro player," he recalled in a 2012 New York Times interview. However, after suffering a broken leg, Combs had to change his aspirations. It was during his time at Howard University that he truly began to flex his influence and hone his skills as an impresario. The college years. Combs wasted no time making a name for himself as soon as he arrived in Washington, D.C., to study at Howard University, a historically black institution. He hit the scene at the end of the 1980s, right when New York hip-hop culture was on top, and he leveraged that Empire State connection to his advantage. Sporting flashy clothes, throwing parties, and building an entourage, Combs was always on the move. In between classes, he found time to run an airport shuttle service, allegedly sell old term papers, and even hawk T-shirts and sodas, as noted in Ro Ronan's 2001 book Bad Boy, The Influence of Sean Puffy Combs on the Music Industry. When protesting students took over an administrative building, he cleverly turned newspaper and magazine clippings about the event into poster-sized collages and sold them back to the participants, according to Ronan. When Puffy came, he was a very flashy guy, recalls his classmate and fellow promoter Derek Angeletti. He was always out at the clubs, and the young girls loved him. He'd be in the middle of the floor doing all the new dances, and his style was a lot more colorful and bold. Everyone noticed this cool, overconfident young dude. I was DJing at the time, and one night he came up to me and said, "I'd like to throw a party with you. You're pretty popular." The two of them started organizing events, and Combs had a knack for persuading celebrities to attend. He cleverly made sure his name was featured prominently on promotional materials, including the business card that would eventually make him famous. As Ronan notes, on his first business card, in the bottom left-hand corner, he had engraved Sean Puff Combs. For the next 2 years, we threw one wild party nearly every week, Angeletti recalls in the book. One memorable event was a homecoming at a Masonic temple, where they expected about 1,500 guests. 4,500 people showed up. The D.C. police shut down the whole block and even brought out the dogs. We had to get on our knees and beg them not to arrest us. As Combs' ventures took off, his ambition quickly expanded beyond the Howard campus. He started reaching out to record executives in New York, initially seeking jobs, but soon scaling back his expectations to internships. This strategy paid off when he landed an internship with Andre Harrell at Uptown Records, who famously coined the term ghetto fabulous. Combs began commuting weekly between college and his hometown, juggling an intense schedule that often included 80-hour work weeks. He dashed around to complete errands for his record industry bosses, but it wasn't long before he decided to leave Howard altogether. By 1991, Harrell promoted him to A&R executive, where Combs began to build a reputation for spotting and developing top talent. Tragedy strikes in New York. The New Yorker showcased a cross-cultural insight that would later become a defining feature and a major success of his career. He hosted weekly Daddy's House parties that brought together street kids and preppy students from Columbia University and New York University, allowing him to observe firsthand what music fans were dancing to and wearing, as noted by Ronan. With the help of his girlfriend, Perez Hilton, a Def Jam intern who became a stylist, Combs tapped into street trends and the pulse of youth culture while promoting artists like Jodeci. However, one of his trend-setting events featuring the R&B duo took a tragic turn in 1991. Combs organized a charity basketball game at Harlem's City College campus shortly after Christmas, anticipating a modest crowd. However, about 5,000 people attended, which caused overcrowding and a dangerous situation in a stairwell. Sadly, the incident led to the loss of 9 lives and injuries to around 36 others. While no criminal charges were filed, Combs later gave testimony in a lawsuit brought by the victims against the college, describing the intense fear and distress he witnessed during the event. "City College is something I deal with every day of my life," Combs said outside the court in 1998. "But what I deal with can't even compare to the pain that the families are going through. I pray for the families and for the children who lost their lives every day." Despite the tragedy, Combs's reputation continued to skyrocket for all the right reasons. His signing of Brooklyn's Christopher Wallace, better known as the Notorious B.I.G., in 1992 became a pivotal moment for both their careers. MCA Records, Uptown's distributor, hesitated to release Biggie's debut album due to its raw themes about street life, and this left Harrell with a tough choice. He had to let Combs go. "I didn't want to be the one holding Puff back because the corporation was telling me to do that," Harrell, who passed away 4 years ago, explained to the Wall Street Journal in 2014. "That's just not who I am. I told Puff he needed to go out and create his own opportunities. You're red hot right now. I'm letting you go so you can get rich." Combs seized the opportunity, launching his own company, Bad Boy Records, and in 1994, he released Wallace's groundbreaking album, Ready to Die. His in-house production team was known as the Hitmen. However, these developments would soon take a dark turn amid the infamous East Coast-West Coast rap feud. Bad Boy found itself in a rivalry with Death Row Records, a Los Angeles-based label founded by Suge Knight, which was riding high on Tupac Shakur's fame. In 1994, Shakur was shot 5 times in New York during a robbery, and he claimed that Combs and Wallace had prior knowledge of the attack. Both Combs and Wallace denied these accusations, but the feud escalated and is often linked to the unsolved murders of both Tupac, who was fatally shot in Las Vegas in 1996, and Wallace, who was killed just 6 months later in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles. On the night of Biggie's murder, Combs had left the same party in a separate car, and the connections between the feud, the killings, and Diddy have fueled conspiracy theories ever since. Solo career and bad boy behavior. Right between the two murders, Combs released his first single in January 1997 under the name Puff Daddy, followed by the launch of his album that July. It featured the heartfelt tribute I'll Be Missing You, which sampled The Police and made history as the first rap single to debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Both his personal and professional lives were expanding rapidly. In 1997, he opened Justin's, his first restaurant in New York, named after his son with girlfriend Misa Hilton, whom he had welcomed 4 years earlier before their breakup. That same year, he began dating model Kim Porter, who gave birth to their son Christian, now known as King, in 1998. It was also the year he launched his fashion line, Sean John. Combs received 5 Grammy nominations and saw his wealth soar, with Bad Boy generating an impressive $130 million. He also purchased a mansion in the Hamptons that year and hosted a Labor Day white party, which quickly became an annual event for the rich and glamorous. Years later, Perez Hilton reminisced about the inaugural gathering, echoing the sentiments of his college friends. "It was iconic, and everyone was there," she recalled to The Hollywood Reporter, her trademark bored drawl adding a touch of nostalgia. As Diddy solidified his status as a prominent business and social figure, the behavior that earned him his nickname continued to surface. In 1999, Combs was arrested on felony charges of assault and criminal mischief after he attacked an Interscope Records executive during business hours at Universal Music's offices. The confrontation led to the executive sustaining significant injuries. He ultimately pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of harassment and was required to attend a 1-day anger management class. However, that didn't seem to have much effect. Just 3 months later, Combs found himself involved in one of the most serious and high-profile incidents of his career, no small feat, when he was present at a shooting in a Manhattan nightclub while on a date with none other than Jennifer Lopez, who he had started seeing earlier that year. The couple had been enjoying a night out at Club New York in Times Square when an altercation broke out after another patron allegedly insulted Combs and threatened his protege, rapper Shine. The situation escalated, shots were fired, and 3 bystanders were injured, including a woman who was shot. Combs quickly left the scene in a Lincoln Navigator with J-Lo, his bodyguard, and his driver, along with a stolen gun that none of them were licensed to possess, a fact the police discovered when they pulled over the vehicle. In March 2001, Combs was found not guilty of 4 counts of illegal gun possession and 1 count of bribery after a trial that garnered significant media attention. Demonstrating his influence, fans flocked to the courthouse for 7 weeks, and after his acquittal, courthouse workers threw open the windows to chant his name and shout, "Leave him alone!" Visibly shaken as the verdict was announced, Combs publicly thanked God following his acquittal and reportedly went to church to reflect on the experience. The Diddy era. Eager to shed the bad boy image, Combs changed his name to P. Diddy just weeks after his court victory. "When I changed my name, I marked the end of those eras," he told Vanity Fair in 2021, referring to the Puff Daddy phase as a time characterized by young, brash, bold hip-hop, unapologetic swagger, and fearlessness. In July, he released the album The Saga Continues, but continued to explore new opportunities. In 2001, he made his acting debut in 2 films, including Monsters Ball, which earned Halle Berry an Oscar. He also started producing new artists and ventured into reality television. "I've always worked hard, harder than anyone else," he later shared with Forbes. By 2002, he was boasting about taking his 14th flight on the Concorde and received a nomination for Menswear Designer of the Year from the Council of Fashion Designers of America. However, even his wildly successful Sean Jean brand faced legal troubles the following year, dealing with allegations related to sweatshop conditions in Honduras. That didn't hold him back from performing at the Super Bowl in 2004 or launching the famous Vote or Die campaign during the presidential election. Combs was everywhere, making waves across multiple industries. He eventually decided to drop the P from his name, leaving fans unsure of what to call him. He became simply Diddy. In 2006, Kim Porter gave birth to their twins, just 5 months after a longtime friend had his daughter, Chance. Porter viewed this overlap as a betrayal, leading her to end the long-term on-again, off-again relationship she had with the mogul. Around this time, Combs was also shaping the career of singer Cassie Ventura, whom he had signed to his label in 2005. However, in November, a major lawsuit surfaced, accusing him of serious misconduct, including allegations of abuse and other disturbing claims. He and Cassie met when she was just 19 and he was 37, and for years she was seen as the only significant woman in his life. Their split in 2018 created a media frenzy. Once again, Combs found himself in trouble due to his behavior. Just 8 months after his commencement speech at Howard in 2014, TMZ reported that he punched Drake during a nightclub altercation in Miami over a song dispute. Then, 6 months later, he was arrested in California and faced several charges: 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count of making terrorist threats, and 1 count of battery. This incident involved an alleged attack on one of his son's football coaches at UCLA, reportedly using a kettlebell. However, prosecutors ultimately chose not to pursue felony charges. Time for love. By 2017, it seemed that the return of his youthful huff tendencies had prompted Combs to engage in some serious self-reflection. He announced his intention to change his name to Love or Brother Love, but he wavered on this decision multiple times. It wasn't until 2021 that he shared a picture on social media of his driver's license showing Love as his middle name. In an interview with Vanity Fair, he described his new moniker, saying, "Love is a mission. I feel like that's one of the biggest missions that will actually shift things. But besides that, we, the world, is different. We have the internet, we have the power, we have a culture. I have us on a 5-year plan." What that 5-year plan entailed remained a mystery, especially as it coincided with a series of profoundly tragic events in Combs' life. In November 2018, Kim Porter, the mother of 3 of his children, was found dead in her Los Angeles home at the age of 47. The coroner later determined that she had died of pneumonia. In the wake of her passing, Combs took to social media, expressing his deep grief. "For the last 3 days, I've been trying to wake up out of this nightmare," he wrote, "but I haven't. I don't know what I'm going to do without you, baby. I miss you so much." He went on to reflect on their extraordinary bond, stating, "Today I'm going to pay tribute to you. I'm going to try and find the words to explain our unexplainable relationship. We were more than best friends. We were more than soulmates. We were some other shit. And I miss you so much. Super Black Love." 4 years later, Combs made headlines once again by naming his 7th child Love. In December 2022, he announced on X that he had welcomed a daughter named Love Sean Combs. The identity of her mother was soon revealed to be Dana Tran, a model and cybersecurity specialist who is 25 years younger than him. This revelation intensified public scrutiny of Combs's relationships with younger women, putting his dating choices under a harsh spotlight. Fast forward 5 years and 3 months after his Vanity Fair interview in which he discussed his 5-year plan and noted that the Not Me Too movement had inspired him, Combs found himself embroiled in serious legal troubles. In November 2023, he was hit with 3 lawsuits within a single week, all alleging sexual assault. Among these allegations was one from Cassie Ventura, his former long-term girlfriend, which he settled within a day for an undisclosed amount. The other lawsuits were even more troubling, dating back to Combs's rise to fame in the early 1990s. These claims were filed just before the expiration of New York's Adult Survivors Act, which temporarily allowed survivors to pursue litigation, regardless of when the alleged abuse occurred. While Combs's legal team dismissed the lawsuits as attempts to extort money and denied all allegations, it became clear that his legal troubles were far from over. In February, a former employee of Combs, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, filed a lawsuit accusing him of harassment and making threats. Shortly after, federal agents conducted raids on Combs's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. Homeland Security Investigations New York confirmed that the raids were part of an ongoing investigation, but did not provide any further details. While no criminal charges have been filed against him, Combs's lawyers criticized the raids, describing them as a gross overuse of military-level force. One associate of Combs was arrested on drug charges, adding to the swirling rumors surrounding the rapper. Despite having faced potential prison time in the past, the current situation seems to have unsettled him, as evidenced by his visibly shaken demeanor during a New York court appearance 23 years ago when he was acquitted on multiple charges. Adding to the turmoil, shocking CCTV footage obtained by CNN this May appeared to support Cassie's allegations against Combs. The video, taken in March 2016, showed Combs chasing her down a corridor at a Los Angeles hotel before he allegedly punched and kicked her outside a set of elevators. In the footage, Combs, clad only in a towel and socks, can be seen attempting to drag Ventura back down the hallway. The rapper later took to social media to apologize, describing his behavior as inexcusable and accepting full responsibility for his actions captured in the video. He referred to that moment as one of the darkest times in his life, admitting he was fired up and feeling disgusted by what he had done. In his post, Combs expressed that he had asked God for his mercy and grace and shared that he sought professional help, attending therapy and rehab in the wake of the 2016 incident. It's really tough to look back on the darkest moments in your life, but sometimes you need to, he reflected. I hit rock bottom, and I make no excuses. My behavior in that video is simply inexcusable. He also quoted a piece of advice from his Uncle Shrimp during his 2014 commencement speech at Howard University. Don't be afraid to close your eyes and dream, but then open your eyes and see. As Combs navigates this challenging chapter, both he and the world watch to see what lies ahead for the master of reinvention and what will become of the dreams that have brought him so far. What are Diddy's freak-offs? The term freak-off is essentially a euphemism for an orgy, a notion that raises eyebrows in family-friendly conversations. The rumors about these gatherings have circulated for years, with some individuals even speaking out publicly. However, mainstream media outlets have largely avoided the topic, primarily due to the legal ramifications of directly implicating Combs in such activities. There was a pervasive fear that he would resort to lawsuits against any publication daring to expose these alleged escapades, a strategy that enabled him to maintain a shroud of secrecy over these events for decades. Celebrity blogger Perez Hilton weighed in on the situation, admitting that the concept of freak-offs was not entirely new to him. He explained that while many have discussed the gatherings, they often tread lightly, knowing the potential backlash from Combs. In a recent segment, Hilton elaborated, These rumors have been around for a very long time. The legacy media has been afraid to cover it because it's highly litigious. If you were to say Diddy has been engaging in this, sources indicated he would sue you. Dennis Byron, editor-in-chief of Hip Hop Inquirer, chimed in, noting that while he had heard the term freak off before, he had never personally witnessed any of the events. "I've been covering Mr. Combs for over 30 years and have been invited to many parties," Byron said. "I've never participated in any freak-offs with Mr. Combs or anyone else. Most of his parties have been well attended by some of the biggest names in entertainment. If something happened after 2 or 3 in the morning, I wasn't there." The timeline of allegations against Sean Combs began to reveal a concerning pattern. Shortly after Cassie's lawsuit in November 2023, more accusations followed. Joy Dickerson-Neal came forward, claiming misconduct by Combs in 1991, and another woman, Lisa Gardner, alleged that he had harmed her and a friend in the early 90s. As the months passed, additional claims surfaced, including one from a young girl who accused him of exploitation in 2023. The mounting allegations included claims of sexual assault from various women over decades, culminating in a case that prosecutors deemed alarmingly serious. Hilton clarified that while Diddy often sought out male partners for Ventura, the gatherings could also resemble a more traditional party environment. According to the indictment, staff were aware and helped plan these events, he explained. They would coordinate travel for participants. This was a drug-fueled environment where Diddy, as a functioning addict, would throw these parties. Further complicating the picture are allegations of Diddy videotaping the events, purportedly to use the footage as leverage against participants. He has faced accusations of more serious crimes, including kidnapping and even arson, particularly related to a possessive streak he displayed toward his ex-girlfriend Cassie. At one point, she dated Kid Cudi, which Diddy allegedly resented, leading to threats against the rapper. Strangely enough, Cudi's car reportedly caught fire around that time, casting a shadow over the events. Byron expressed his astonishment at the unfolding allegations, stating that the scope of the accusations was shocking, even after years of covering Combs. "When I first started hearing about these allegations becoming public, it really surprised me," he admitted. "I've covered this man for years, and it's hard to reconcile the public persona with these allegations. Why did it take so long to press charges? The story of Sean Diddy Combs is one that has shifted dramatically from glitz and glamour to a dark web of allegations and legal troubles. It began on a sunny November day in 2023, when former girlfriend Cassie Ventura bravely stepped forward, filing a civil lawsuit against him. In her lawsuit, she detailed years of alleged mistreatment, igniting a series of events that would ultimately lead to his indictment nearly a year later. As the U.S. Attorney's Office prepared to announce the indictment against Combs, they emphasized their unwavering commitment to tackling trafficking and holding even the most powerful accountable. This office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. No one should doubt our commitment to that, the attorney declared. On the day of the legal charges, the seriousness of the situation surrounding Sean Combs became evident. Once known as a celebrated music mogul and cultural icon, he was now confronted with significant legal challenges. The charges against him included allegations of conspiracy and other serious offenses. These accusations claimed that Combs had engaged in harmful behavior toward others while working to maintain his public image and keep the situation hidden. The charges reportedly stretched back as far as 2008, leaving many to wonder why it had taken so long for the case to come to light. Experts weighed in, with celebrity blogger Perez Hilton and hip-hop columnist Dennis Byron offering insights. They suggested that fear and intimidation kept many potential victims from speaking out until Cassie's courage sparked a movement. It took Cassie going public with her lawsuit and laying it all out there in that court document for others to feel emboldened, Byron explained. The rapid resolution of Cassie's lawsuit, settled within hours, was indicative of the power dynamics at play, but it also marked a turning point. It coincided with the onset of a federal investigation that would delve deeper into Combs' alleged criminal activities. The U.S. Attorney's Office meticulously built a case, gathering substantial evidence, including videos and testimony. They sought an overwhelming amount of proof to bolster their claims. The indictment painted a picture of a man who wielded his fame and fortune to manipulate and control those around him. The allegations suggested a disturbing pattern of behavior, offering drugs, threatening financial stability, promising career opportunities, and dictating his victims' appearances. Such tactics left many feeling trapped, unable to refuse his demands without fear of further abuse. As the timeline of allegations against Sean Combs unfolded, more troubling claims emerged. Days after Cassie filed her lawsuit, new accusations surfaced. In late November 2023, Joy Dickerson-Neal came forward, accusing Combs of serious misconduct in 1991, while another woman, Lisa Gardner, alleged similar incidents involving her and a friend in the early 90s. Over the following months, more individuals stepped forward, including a 17-year-old girl who accused Combs of exploitation in 2023. The mounting allegations included claims of sexual assault from various women over decades, culminating in a case that prosecutors deemed alarmingly serious. By early 2024, public scrutiny intensified. Surveillance footage from a 2016 incident involving Cassie and Diddy surfaced, further tainting his image. The narrative around him shifted from that of a beloved artist to one shrouded in allegations of severe misconduct. As the media continued to cover the unfolding drama, it became evident that Combs faced a formidable legal battle. The possibility of life in prison loomed if convicted. As the U.S. Attorney stated during the indictment announcement, the investigation remained ongoing, hinting that more victims might come forward. There was a palpable sense of urgency and determination from law enforcement. "We are committed to bringing justice to everyone who's been victimized by the defendant," they affirmed. While Diddy and his attorney maintained his innocence, claiming all relationships were consensual, the public and legal communities braced themselves for what would undoubtedly be a highly publicized trial. Observers noted the stark differences between this case and others, such as the R. Kelly trial, yet acknowledged the grave nature of the allegations against Combs. How dangerous is Diddy? In a riveting discussion about the growing allegations against Sean "Diddy" Combs, the questions of danger and violence loom large. The segment opens with the host introducing multimedia personality, head crack, and entertainment reporter Andrew Dalton, setting the stage for a deep dive into Diddy's controversial past and present. The inquiry begins with a poignant question. How dangerous is Diddy? Head crack reflects on this complexity, suggesting that the answer may vary depending on who you ask. He mentions Kid Cudi, whose car reportedly exploded, hinting that Diddy, or someone connected to him, may have had a role in the incident. Headcrack recalls the chaos surrounding a basketball tournament Diddy organized in the early 90s, a gathering marred by inadequate security that ultimately led to fatalities. This reckless disregard for safety, he argues, paints a picture of danger, albeit in a different context. Delving deeper, Headcrack references the notorious shooting incident involving Diddy, Jennifer Lopez, and rapper Shine in the late 90s. A woman was shot in the face that night, and reports suggest she believes Diddy pulled the trigger. This tragic event encapsulates the kind of danger that shadows Diddy's reputation, especially when considered alongside the growing list of allegations surrounding him. Andrew Dalton joins the conversation, emphasizing the significance of the violence aspect. He points out that while many stories of Diddy's alleged violent past are somewhat vague, recent allegations paint a more troubling picture, particularly concerning witness intimidation. When Cassie filed her lawsuit against Diddy in November, it triggered an immediate response, with prosecutors claiming he attempted to intimidate other victims right away. Dalton draws attention to Cassie's allegations of physical abuse in a hotel hallway, noting the emergence of surveillance footage that has transformed public perception. The video, once released, made it undeniable that Diddy could indeed be dangerous, compelling many to reassess their views of him. Headcrack agrees, suggesting that if liars are proven wrong, the fallout can be significant. The high-resolution video showcases a narrative long whispered in hushed tones, forcing a reckoning of sorts within the hip-hop community. He expresses concern that this is only the beginning of what could be a much larger story. The discussion shifts to U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, who reveals that weapons seized during the investigation include AR-15s and a large-capacity drum magazine. This information provides a striking visual for prosecutors and adds to the gravity of the situation. Dalton points out that while the specific allegations surrounding the firearms remain vague, they contribute to an unsettling image of Diddy's world. As the conversation unfolds, Dalton notes that Diddy has always been perceived as a businessman rather than a gangster, a persona crafted through charitable endeavors and public appearances. Yet, as the veil is lifted, those closely observing the scene are starting to connect the dots between various allegations, revealing a more complex and potentially dangerous figure. The dialogue further explores the fallout from these revelations. Diddy's brand, deeply intertwined with his personality, faces severe repercussions as allies begin to abandon him. After the release of the video showing the alleged abuse, many prominent figures distanced themselves from him. The segment then turns its attention to the so-called freak-offs, events allegedly orchestrated by Diddy, where SX performances took place, often recorded for leverage against participants. The U.S. Attorney elaborates on how these recordings are central to the indictment, as Diddy allegedly used them as collateral against his victims. Headcrack wraps up the discussion by reflecting on the chilling reality of Diddy's situation. Regardless of wealth or status, no one is immune to the consequences of their actions. He suggests that Diddy's long history of alleged misconduct has finally caught up with him, reinforcing the notion that every dog has its day. Why did Diddy record any of this? U.S. Attorney Damian Williams elaborated on the gravity of the allegations, shedding light on a disturbing trend within Combs's alleged behavior. His orchestration of sexually charged performances he referred to as freak-offs. These encounters, sometimes lasting several days, were reportedly recorded by Combs himself, leading many to question his motivations. Was this simply a quest for personal pleasure, or did the recording serve as a sinister tool for blackmail? The indictment details chilling claims that Combs used these intimate recordings as leverage against his victims. In his attempt to exert control, Combs allegedly manipulated situations to capture sensitive footage that could later be used to coerce those involved. The conversations surrounding the indictment reveal a chilling dynamic. Combs, the alleged orchestrator of these encounters, had taken on the role of both participant and director, adjusting lighting and angles as if he were filming a personal art project. Entertainment commentator Andrew Dalton emphasizes that such behavior isn't new to the entertainment industry. Rather, it is a continuation of long-standing practices where individuals wield their power to control others. Dalton notes, "Money magnifies the monster. Whatever you're into, if you have the means, you'll indulge your fantasies." The nature of the recordings, often framed as art, raises questions about consent and exploitation, as the power dynamics in these situations heavily favored Combs. The discussion shifts to U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, who reveals that weapons seized during the investigation include AR-15s and a large-capacity drum magazine. This information provides a striking visual for prosecutors and adds to the gravity of the situation. Dalton points out that while the specific allegations surrounding the firearms remain vague, they contribute to an unsettling image of Diddy's world. As the conversation unfolds, Dalton notes that Diddy has always been perceived as a businessman rather than a gangster, a persona crafted through charitable endeavors and public appearances. Yet, as the veil is lifted, those closely observing the scene are starting to connect the dots between various allegations, revealing a more complex and potentially dangerous figure. The dialogue further explores the fallout from these revelations. Diddy's brand, deeply intertwined with his personality, faces severe repercussions as allies begin to abandon him. After the release of the video showing the alleged abuse, many prominent figures distanced themselves from him. But P. Diddy isn't the only one facing some pretty serious allegations. His sons, Justin and Christian Combs, both face civil lawsuits alleging sexual assault, facilitating freak-offs, and even covering up a shooting. The scrutiny extends to Diddy's son, Justin Combs, who is named as a defendant in some of these lawsuits. The allegations against Justin became particularly pronounced following a civil suit filed in February by Rodney Jones, known in the industry as Lil Rod. In his detailed lawsuit, Lil Rod recounts a night where he alleges Diddy compelled him to take a drink that had been tampered with, leaving him feeling disoriented. He claims he awoke at 4 a.m. in a compromising situation next to a sex worker. In his suit, Lil Rod claims that Justin facilitated his father's alleged illicit activities, characterizing the relationship between father and son as one that operated within a larger, troubling enterprise. The suit implies that Justin was not just a passive observer, but an active participant in the unfolding drama surrounding Diddy's conduct. Moreover, Lil Rod's lawsuit also hints at Justin's involvement in an alleged cover-up related to a shooting incident. According to court documents, a troubling incident unfolded on September 12, 2022, outside Diddy's Chalice Studios. Lil Rod recounts a night that escalated dangerously when he, Diddy, Justin Combs, and a friend of Justin's, referred to as G, were present. Amid a heated situation, multiple loud noises rang out, and Lil Rod later discovered G lying on the bathroom floor in a vulnerable position, bleeding from his hip and leg. In a state of urgency, Lil Rod applied pressure to G's wounds while urging those around them to call for medical assistance. However, both Diddy and Justin reportedly retreated to a different area of the studio. At that moment, Diddy allegedly gave strict orders to mislead the police regarding the circumstances of the incident, instructing Lil Rod to assert that G had been shot outside the studio in a drive-by situation. In a separate civil lawsuit, Diddy's other son, Christian King Combs, is facing serious allegations from Grace Omar K. She claims that Christian assaulted her on a yacht rented by Diddy in December 2022, during a period characterized by an influx of high-profile celebrities and a chaotic atmosphere. Omar describes the yacht as a place where various individuals often appeared incapacitated, with liquor bottles scattered throughout, making it difficult to discern which drinks were compromised. On December 28, 2022, while serving as a deckhand on the yacht, Omar alleges she was assaulted by a heavily intoxicated Christian, who allegedly forced her into a compromising situation. The lawsuit paints a disturbing picture of the events that transpired during that festive season, suggesting a troubling environment facilitated by Diddy himself. Both Justin and Christian were seen attending federal court last week during their father's appearance, raising questions about their potential legal repercussions. Former federal prosecutor Nemo Romani weighs in on the implications of these allegations, highlighting that the inclusion of Diddy's sons in the ongoing legal saga adds a new layer of complexity. Romani notes that if additional charges were to be considered, Justin and Christian could be among the most likely candidates for further scrutiny, particularly given the direct allegations against Christian in the civil suit. During Christian's initial appearance before the judge, discussions arose regarding the significant amount of electronic evidence seized by federal investigators, totaling 96 different devices and terabytes of data. While not all of this information may be relevant, some could be crucial to the case, particularly in light of Cassie's allegations that many of the acts were recorded by Christian. The purpose of these recordings could range from personal gratification to exerting control over others involved. In cases of sexual misconduct, the absence of witnesses often leads to a challenging he said, she said dynamic, especially when such incidents typically occur behind closed doors, be it at a home, hotel, or yacht. However, the introduction of recordings can dramatically alter this narrative. They have the potential to substantiate one party's claims over the other, making them a powerful tool in legal proceedings. As the investigation unfolds, the existence of any audio or video recordings related to Justin specifically could significantly impact the case's trajectory, further complicating the Combs family's involvement in the ongoing legal battle. In the ongoing legal saga, Lil Rod's lawsuit has emerged as a focal point, featuring several co-defendants, including Justin Combs, who is mentioned numerous times throughout the filings. A troubling aspect of the lawsuit includes a photograph of Lil Rod sitting next to an alleged sex worker, raising serious questions. Additionally, there are allegations suggesting that Justin may have participated in illicit activities and possibly drugged women. These claims from Lil Rod complicate the case, as they add another layer of potential wrongdoing involving his brother. To prove such serious allegations, federal authorities would need to gather substantial evidence. Witness testimony would be crucial in building a case. This could include independent witnesses who might provide insight into the alleged incidents, particularly if the sex workers involved are willing to speak up about any coercion they faced, rather than simply framing their actions as transactional. Lil Rod's own testimony would be another critical piece of evidence. Although being the plaintiff, his account might be viewed through a lens of bias. Prosecutors would likely seek additional corroborative evidence, such as video footage or text messages that could support Lil Rod's claims. If someone like Christina, a former employee, were to cooperate with authorities, it could significantly strengthen the prosecution's case, as former insiders often possess valuable information. Currently, Diddy stands alone as the only individual charged federally in connection with these allegations, but several others have been identified as participants, including Christina. While she has not yet faced charges, it's widely believed that federal investigators will seek her cooperation, which could benefit her in the long run. As for Justin and Christian, they find themselves in a precarious position, closely tied to their father, Diddy, yet facing serious accusations. While they could potentially face charges in the future, the likelihood of them cooperating with the authorities seems low. In past cases, there have been instances of children testifying against their parents, creating dramatic courtroom scenarios. However, in this situation, both Justin and Christian are deeply connected to their father, who wields significant financial power and is capable of funding their legal defenses. Therefore, the prospect of them flipping to cooperate with prosecutors appears unlikely, though, as in any legal drama, unexpected developments can always arise. Given their close ties to him and the allegations against them, observers ponder whether they might consider cooperating with authorities to save themselves. However, it's deemed unlikely that Justin and Christian would turn against their father. While there are instances of children testifying against their parents in high-stakes legal dramas, the family bond and financial support from Diddy create a different dynamic. The courtroom displays of affection from the Combs children toward their father during earlier hearings further indicate their allegiance, making a potential betrayal seem even less likely. As the legal proceedings continue, it's essential for Justin and Christian to remain aware of their public image. With significant media attention on their family, their behavior outside of the courtroom could influence public perception and ultimately affect the legal proceedings. If they appear unbothered or engaged in a party lifestyle, it may feed into narratives suggesting they believe they are above the law. Amidst this, Lil Rod's lawsuit also brings up a past incident involving a shooting at one of Diddy's recording studios, where Justin and Diddy allegedly helped cover up the incident. The focus primarily remains on the sexual assault allegations, but questions arise regarding whether this incident could lead to further legal scrutiny, particularly if attempted murder charges come into play. The challenges of prosecuting such allegations are complex, especially if a key witness is absent. Legal experts note that federal prosecutors tend to keep their charges focused and precise, avoiding the risk of overreaching, which can undermine a case. As the defense prepares for the ongoing legal battles, it's likely that Diddy's legal team is also reaching out to Justin and Christian to ensure they are aligned. With potential conflicts of interest and the need for their own legal representation, it's crucial for them to navigate their roles carefully. Currently, all three, Diddy, Justin, and Christian, deny the allegations against them. However, as the civil suits and criminal proceedings intertwine, the civil cases may be paused while the criminal aspects unfold. This strategic approach is often taken to avoid complications, as statements made in civil proceedings can inadvertently affect criminal cases. Diddy's legal representative has emphasized his cooperation with the investigation, painting him as a family man and philanthropist while denying any wrongdoing. As the timeline unfolds, with Diddy's trial set for May 2025, the legal landscape remains dynamic, and further developments are expected as the courtroom drama continues. As the legal proceedings continue, it's essential for Justin and Christian to remain aware of their public image. With significant media attention on their family, their behavior outside of the courtroom could influence public perception and ultimately affect the legal proceedings. If they appear unbothered or engaged in a party lifestyle, it may feed into narratives suggesting they believe they are above the law. Amidst this, Lil Rod's lawsuit also brings up a past incident involving a shooting at one of Diddy's recording studios, where Justin and Diddy allegedly helped cover up the incident. The focus primarily remains on the sexual assault allegations, but questions arise regarding whether this incident could lead to further legal scrutiny, particularly if attempted murder charges come into play. The challenges of prosecuting such allegations are complex, especially if a key witness is absent. Legal experts note that federal prosecutors tend to keep their charges focused and precise, avoiding the risk of overreaching, which can undermine a case. As the defense prepares for the ongoing legal battles, it's likely that Diddy's legal team is also reaching out to Justin and Christian to ensure they are aligned. With potential conflicts of interest and the need for their own legal representation, it's crucial for them to navigate their roles carefully. Currently, all three, Diddy, Justin, and Christian, deny the allegations against them. However, as the civil suits and criminal proceedings intertwine, the civil cases may be paused while the criminal aspects unfold. This strategic approach is often taken to avoid complications, as statements made in civil proceedings can inadvertently affect criminal cases. Diddy's legal representative has emphasized his cooperation with the investigation, painting him as a family man and philanthropist while denying any wrongdoing. As the timeline unfolds, with Diddy's trial set for May 2025, the legal landscape remains dynamic, and further developments are expected as the courtroom drama continues.